How's it going? My name's David, aka Metal Groot Fodder, and this is my channel. Today is my first episode. How metal saved my life, not only once, but twice. I actually shot this video twice already, and to be honest with you, I wasn't real happy with the way the first two turned out because I really kind of glossed over why metal saved my life, or at least in part saved my life. So we're going to kind of cover that now. Little backstory. 12 years old, my dad dies. He died of his third heart attack, and I had no male influence in my life. My one brother was in the Marine Corps. Was obviously stationed out of state. My other brother moved away to Wyoming. So I was kind of floundering. And if anyone remembers that wonderful time between 12 and 18, you really have a whole lot going on in your life. Your hormones are going crazy, your body's changing, and life is kind of a mess. So I was really down. And when I say down, and this is the part I glossed over before, I was borderline suicidal. And I thought I should talk about that because if you talk about something like this, there's a misconception that you shouldn't talk about it because it'll put that idea in someone's head. That's not true. This is a subject that needs to be covered. And for me, like I said, I was lost and didn't have a whole lot of, I wouldn't say guidance, but I had no direction. One nice thing was I played sports and played soccer in high school. And when I was a freshman, actually I think it was spring ball my freshman year, my friend Mike and I finish up practice, we go in town. I think we were going to McDonald's or something. And QFM 96, which is a local station that's still going strong, they played Iron Maiden's A Trooper. Now, I don't know if I even had heard any heavy metal during this time, but we both looked at each other when it was over. We had stopped. I think we were, like I said, at McDonald's, and we just looked at it and I said, "What the fuck was that?" And here it was, this music that summed up everything in my life that I wanted to do. And it was primal, screaming, loud. And it was everything pent up inside of me. So how did it save my life? It gave me something to enjoy when I was home alone. And just had those thoughts. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, Saxon, Motley Crue, so many bands from the 80s I relied on heavily to just get that anger and aggression out. And it's interesting, I read a study recently about extreme metal listeners, extreme music listeners, and how when you listen to metal or other extreme music, man, it pumps you up at that moment. But afterwards, it brings you down to a place where it's almost meditative. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. You've been there. You've listened to this music and you're like, oh, this is so awesome. But once it's over with and you have a second, your body calms down and it's wonderful. And that escape, being able to go to shows, and everything, I really think helped save my life. Like I said, I don't know where I would have gone. Maybe I would have found some other outlet and I would have been fine. But I really, really do attribute metal music to a lot of that. Even later in life, the 90s came around. I was married, starting a family, and I got away from metal. Grunge started up. I'll be honest with you. I loved grunge music. The Seattle sound was outstanding. And one thing about metalheads, it's okay to listen to other music. just stay true to metal. But as the 90s went on to the 2000s, I entered that dark place again. And this time it was even worse. As an adult, I just was in a very unhappy place. And my oldest son, Knox, was growing up. And we started sharing music a little bit. And I was telling him, about different metal bands and stuff. And he started listening to stuff like Trivium, Coheed and Cambria, In Flames, bands like that. And it was kind of cool. He also joined a band. Actually, I think he was in a couple bands at that point, and started doing shows. And I started going to shows with him. That's how I got my name, the Metal Grootvader. I was at a show, came out of the pit, and I had been wrecked a few times. I'm sweaty, disgusting. And a young couple sitting there with their mouths just agape going, what did we just watch? And as I walk up, the one little girl goes, how old are you? And I told her, and she goes, you could be my metal grandpa. And that was cool. I like that. So, metal grandpa sounds okay. I looked it up in Dutch. Metal Grootvader sounds a lot better. So that was my reintroduction to metal. And again, like I said, very dark place. I also listened to some bands like My Chemical Romance and everything. Was, like I said, depression had really taken hold of me. And then one day, my son Knox sends me this video. He said, Dad, I think you'll like these guys. And it was Amon Amarth, Cry of the Blackbirds. And holy shit, that was awesome. And along with Amon Amarth, I discovered other bands like Helvete, because I was a big fan of all things bagpipes. My dad loved the bagpipes growing up, and he would play them, not actually play them, but play music in the house. And actually, the song for his funeral was Amazing Grace, played with the bagpipes. And so I grew up listening to him. And Helvete, some people say Helvete, I'm not sure. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But I heard this song called Indus Mona, and they hit you with this wall of sound of bagpipes, flutes, hurdy-gurdy, violin, and everything. And I found myself again. I found that kid that just had that release in music. It was incredible. I was able to just kind of jump into that again and listen to music a lot more and just start enjoying that part of my life. It was quite a few years though before I actually was happy again. And to just jump forward to now, remarried, wonderful wife who listens to hair metal. She loves 80s metal because that's the only music she remembers. She lost her hearing through her life, and 80s hair metal was what she was really into. So we still listen to a lot of that. Have gone and seen some bands like Striper, Great White, and had a lot of fun. We saw also a couple good bands that are still rocking as Cheap Trick and Styx. They're older than me, rock. It's awesome stuff. But without music, to have that emotional outlet, I don't know where I'd be. And I don't know where I'd be without my son sharing that music with me or anything. And I'm very thankful for that. He and I did not have the best relationship when he was growing up. And through the divorce and everything, we started talking more and more, and it got to the point where he was calling me 2-3 times a day just to talk. And we have a wonderful relationship now. The Amon Amarth stand up behind me, he got that for me. Pretty freaking cool. But yeah, so if a parent happens to see this and goes, why is my kid listening to this metal music? Well, they're probably coping with what's going on in their life. Everyone goes through it. Some people handle it better than others. Some have it worse than others. But your preteen and teenage years are just a mess. And yeah, you might listen to metal in the 80s, And the metal now is harder, more extreme. Just like the metal we listened to in the 80s is more extreme than Sabbath and other bands from the 70s. And that's what it's going to be. When these kids grow up, their kids might be listening to something that'll blow their faces off. We'll see. So that's it. I still haven't really delved into everything that was going on with me, but you kind of get an idea. So with that, subscribe, because I'm going to start doing some stuff like reaction videos, talking more about the metal scene, maybe some interviews if I can arrange them. Probably start with some local bands in Columbus, Ohio, because that's close to where I live, and my son's got a lot of connections with those bands. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a journey with me. So that being said, stay metal, my friends.